Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all keeping well. Now for this video, I'm going to review a horror movie that I watched the other night on Shudder. It was made in 2023. It was written and directed by Colin and Cameron Cairns, and it stars David Dasmalchian and Laura Gordon. And that movie is Late Night with the Devil. Now, obviously, the movie hasn't been released yet on Blu-ray, so that's why I haven't got a copy in my hand. But I'm going to talk about it from memory and give you my thoughts, as usual, on the story as a whole. Okay, then, guys. First, the synopsis of Late Night with the Devil. Now, we're introduced to the character of this sort of like smarmy talk show host, Jack Delroy, who a year after the tragic death of his wife, amid plummeting ratings for his show, which is kind of a rival to the Johnny Carson show, he sort of like turns to desperate measures in order to sort of like boost his show's popularity, making him a leading name again in the 1970s talk show circus. Now, this is actually set in 1977, and it's a kind of like a found footage mockumentary movie. So what he does on Halloween's night, 1977, he gets together a group of people all related, pertaining in some way to the world of the paranormal, and the afterlife. But needless to say, guys, with this being a horror movie, it takes a very, very dark turn. Yeah. Okay, then, guys, that's the premise of Late Night with the Devil. Okay, then, guys, I'm going to talk now about the movie further and give me thoughts on storyline as a whole. Let me tell you guys, it was a real treat to watch a movie that doesn't rely on the same old tired, worn-out tropes we've seen time and time again, in many of these modern horror movies. It eschewed all those tired tropes and did something different. And how it did, wow. There were so many things I liked about this movie, guys. I like the fact it was set in a sort of late night chat show and Halloween. And you'd had these these four guests on and that. All, as I say, all relating to the world of the paranormal. And the actor who played it, the host, Jack Delroy, he did a great job, in the character and that, as did all the supporting cast and that, yeah, really great story and a great premise. Jack was really a money-grabbing, smarmy host, but he had that disarming quality about him. You couldn't sort of endear yourself to him somewhat, to the character, especially after his tragic past and involving the death of his wife and that. I loved the duality of Jack's character, the way he came across as a smiling, seemingly calm and convivial, chat show host. But then once he went backstage, that sort of exterior was replaced by a dark streak to his character. It exposed his ruthlessness in regards to making money and that, trying to claw back ratings for his chat show. And nowhere. And this is borne out clearly in the conversations he has with his very, very ruthless boss. All the really interesting really is making money and that, and getting the ratings up again and that, yeah. So he's a very interesting character, as I say, Jack. He's got that duality to his sort of personality and that, very well played, as I say, by the actor and that, David Dasmalchian. I also love the scenarios where Jack brought on four guests and that, to sort of for the show and that, to sort of entertain his audience and that, and bring something different to the proceedings and that. He brings on this sort of psychic medium and that. He brings on this kind of James Randi debunker, who at every turn, every opportunity, sort of poo-poos, any suggestions from his the other guests that there is actually, the paranormal does exist and that, and the devil is alive and well, and holding sway in 1977, And then there's the female doctor, parapsychologist, who comes up to the young girl. I think her name's Lily, and a very, very creepy girl. And that, the way as soon as she comes on, when it was sort of with the doctor, you get these strange vibes from this girl, and that, the way she sort of grins and looks at the camera and looks at the audience and that, and that stare she has, very, very creepy. And also the entity, Mr. Wriggles, who's supposed to inhabit her body, yeah, very, very creepy. Obviously, obvious nods to Captain Howdy from The Exorcist there, and that with this Mr. Wriggles is supposed to be the demon Praxis and that, from a demonic mythology. Yeah, so yeah, great performances again, like as I say, from those guests. And yeah, the young girl's supposed to be the sole survivor of a demonic cult and that, but you can, as I say, you can sense there's something not quite right with the girl and that, well, as the movie goes on, we soon learn exactly what that is. And I love the rather heated exchanges between Jack and his very, very ruthless, imperious boss and that, oh yeah, really, I can actually imagine that sort of scenario playing out and at the backstage of some of these chat shows and that, the way they done it and that, because look what they did. When he went for the commercial break, they cut to Jack going backstage and that, and having words with his boss about how the show was going and that, and any kind of like reservations like Jack or anybody else might have about the wisdom of continuing with the show is instantly dismissed by this very, very unlikable boss and that, and he just wants the show on at all costs and that. He's thinking of the money, he's thinking of the ratings and that, he just wants the show to go ahead and he wants it to have a successful outcome, thereby raking in millions and sort of like rivaling, Johnny Carson show again, basically, yeah. So it's all about money, grabbing money, guys, and that, and if you like, kind of like, I don't want to give too much away, but the sort of like the Faustian Pact scenario comes into, but I'll leave it there. I won't go into detail about that. Yeah. I love the authentic set of it recapturing the look of a typical 1977 chat show. All the colours were there, burgundy, the reds and the yellows and that. They did a great job on that. And the clothing as well. Very, very sort of like, that was sort of like in the 70s and that was the typical attire what a lot of these people wore that were in the entertainment business and that. It had a real retrospective feel to it, guys. And it was very, very well done and that. You actually thought you were in as my mum said, you actually thought you were in watching a real chat show. That's how authentic it was and that, but yeah, it starts off, the movie starts off like sort of like basically introducing the character of Jack and that, and basically telling a story about like he wants to boost his ratings. But there was one little fault about that, guys, when the show first started. I think they went a little bit too much about it's only a minor defect, but I think they went on a little bit too much about like the fun part of it and that, the sort of like the news and that, saying about the news and that, different news items and that, and banter and that. I thought that went on a bit too long and that, but once the movie got, sort of like got underway, my interest was really, really captured. I also like the character of Gus as well. Jack's on-screen sidekick, who is very, very, very worried about like the direction in which Jack is taking the show. He's getting this guest to really go into the paranormal and that, and letting them, affording them demonstrations, on live TV. Which, as I say, Gus is very, very sort of like he's a kind of a psychic himself, Gus, and he's a bit like he's doubting the wisdom of Jack's decision to sort of like push boundaries, if you like, towards the devil and that, and the paranormal and that. Very, very good character, so you've got that sort of like conflict as well going on. Now, amid the jolly, colourful chat show scenario, guys, there's a real undercurrent of something very omnipotent and ominous going on. That's about to unfold in this movie. And you can draw parallels here between movies like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. Very, very strong parallels, with those movies and that. So you've got all that mix as well. But as I say, it was a very, very well executed movie and that. And loved all the characters and that. It's very, very rare, guys. I'm sure you'll agree. It's very, very rare in a horror movie, especially modern horror movies, where you like every single character. And this is exactly what happened in this movie. I liked every single character. They were that good. I've got no complaints at all about any of the characters. Very, very well executed and that. Very good, great acting and that. Absolute consummate professionals and that in this movie. Every single member of the cast. That's not to say that the one or two characters I didn't really like. Well, obviously, I think 99.9% of people who watch this movie would share my low opinion of these characters. There was Jack's boss and that, behind the scenes and that, the way he was shouting there all the time and that, you've got to go on, often cursing and that, very, very nasty with Gus as well, so he wasn't very likeable. And then the skeptic, the kind of James Randi debunker, he wasn't very likable, but I did love his exchanges. You know, it made for good drama, his exchanges between the people who believed in the paranormal and him himself, and that, you know, he was debunking everything, even when the real gross stuff started, especially the scene with the worms. You know, I won't say too much about that, I'll let you see the movie yourself, but those of you seen it, you know what I mean. The worms part, even he even attributes that to sort of like mind control, you know, collective hypnosis, if you like, you know. So he always very thorough in his debunking of these people and that, you know, come on professing that the paranormal is a real thing. Always very dismissive and that, you know. You really, you know, at times you really feel like bloody, you wish you were there and give him a bloody slap across the face and that, you know. He's trying to sort of like prove his point really on live television, that the paranormal doesn't exist and that, you know. So and then you've got the audience and that, they're all sitting there rapt attention, you know, watching every single move what's made, and that the part, especially the part where it starts to reach its zenith of a horror, where this girl who the doctor claims is possessed by this entity called Mr. Wriggles. They strap her, I won't give too much away, guys, but they strap her to the chair, and you know, Jack gives the go ahead for the doctor to sort of like, you know, get the demon speaking through it and that, you know. But obviously he's not the exorcist there, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. But yeah, he even tries to dismiss that and that, you know. He's just sort of like poo-poo and everything and that, you know. But yeah, very well executed movie, and you know, it's very original, you know, great ideas and that, you know. It's a movie you can go back to again and again and again, because this movie's got layers, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen it, we'd agree with me, it's a very layered movie, because you've got Jack's tragic background and that, you know, what happened with his wife. And then you've got like the way he is on telly and that, he's all smiling and that and trying to be genial, but he's got a dark side to his character. So you've got that, he's very, you know, he's very deep character, you know, very multi-layered character as Jack, you know, one of the greatest horror characters I've seen, you know, very ordinary, like, I don't mean monster when I say horror, I don't mean monster, but horror, the kind of characters you see in a horror movie of this variety and that, you know. Great, you did a great job, you know, really did, yeah. And when the real creepy events start to unwind, Jack's framing story is brilliant in that, you know. It all takes place in that, you know, sort of like under the watchful eye of Jack, obviously with him being a Jack show host and that, you know. But it's a great framing story what he sets up with Jack and that, you know. He's got a lot of emotional baggage and that's what makes him real and that, you know. When you think of horror characters in the past and like, you know, they've got layers to them, like Annie Wilkes from Misery, Norman Bates in Psycho. A horror character is always interesting when you've got layered, they're multi-layered and that, you know. There's no cardboard characters, they just don't work, guys. I've said this a lot of times in videos. Cardboard cutout characters do not work. You've got to have that special something. The same can be applied to, I don't know, westerns and that, you know, like for instance, The Man with No Name. I've said this before, very multi-layered character, and that is what makes movies interesting. Multi-layered characters. The same in books, multi-layered characters, yeah. Neither good, neither entirely good, neither entirely bad. And even Stephen King said that. And by the way, Stephen King rates this movie very highly. He said, you know, if you haven't seen it, spare some time to go and watch it. He really loved it and that. So that's a great endorsement, isn't it? From the master of horror, guys. Yeah, the great Stephen King. Yeah. But getting back to the movie, guys. Oh yeah, I was really pleased with it, and I'm counting the days for the Blu-ray to come out, and that, so I can add it to my collection. And hopefully, well, it's got to have some special features, surely, and that, you know. And from what I can read, I believe the character, you know, who played, you know, the actor who played Jack, he wrote an article for Fangoria magazine and that, you know, about his love for horror and that, and he was spotted by the brothers, you know, who I don't know the full story, but his article was spotted by the brothers who made the movie, and he contacted him and said, would you like to play Jack Delroy and that, you know. Well, the rest is history, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, it was very great. It was very good the way they evoked the atmosphere of like a Johnny Carson type TV show, and you've got this dark sort of like you know, atmosphere building up. The tension is really ratcheted up, guys. It really is, and that, you know. And there's just one little small aside from together with the beginning where they went on too much about the, you know, went on with the banter too much and the adverts and that, you know, the talking about different things and that. There's just one other minor gripe, and that's the ending. I'm not going to say it was a terrible ending, but I'm not going to say it's a fantastic ending. It's sort of like, without giving too much away, guys, spoiler alert if you don't want to, you know, watch the rest of this video. I'm not going to give away all of the ending, but I'm just going to give me thoughts on the general direction the ending took. Basically, it kind of veered off course. All throughout the film, we had this great engage in chat show environments and that, you know, with this sort of like dark ambience, like building up and building up. But then it went off on a completely different tangent and that, because it went to a kind of surreal nightmare on the part of Jack and that, you know, he had all these weird, I won't say too much about it, guys, but he went into kind of like a fantasy world. At one point I thought he died and gone to hell, you know. It's actually like an occult ceremony and that, you know, like straight out of The Devil Rides Out kind of movie and that, you know. But it does take a bit of a strange path, you know, the ending. But nevertheless, I highly regard this movie. I would say, of all the horror movies I have watched so far in 2024, this is definitely the best horror movie I have watched so far. And I think it's going to take something special, guys, to be honest with you, to beat this one. You know, Late Night with the Devil. I love the premise. I love the originality. It was very quirky. It was self-aware in parts, but at the same time, that did not detract one little bit from the horror, the sheer horror that this movie culminated in. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, if you haven't seen Late Night with the Devil, I'd recommend you check it out and that, you know. I don't think it'd be a movie for everybody because, like, there's some people might think, oh, it's too much like a chat show and that, you know, it's not really a horror movie and like found footage, but you've got to stick with it. If you do get it, stick with it, because believe me, it gets better and better and better, and it will have you on the edge of your seat at times, and that, especially some of the scenes, like the gross out scenes and that, yeah. I should also mention, guys, the matter about the character that was sitting in the audience dressed from head to toe in a skeletal garb. I have heard whisperings, you know, when you talk about the movie and that could have been Satan himself sitting there in the audience, taking all in and that, you know, and sort of like wreaking his havoc and that, but just sitting there and that, you know. So there's sort of like this speculation about that, but there's a lot of interpretation, you know, directed at this movie. People interpret it different ways and that, you know. But yeah, I think it's got something for everybody, guys. And I don't like found footage, but I love this one. I like the way they did it. No jerky camera and that. Just a little bit when he went backstage and that, when Jack was conversing with his boss and that, his over imperious boss and that, a little bit there. But it was great and that, you know, it complemented the movie very well, you know. But yeah, I don't like found footage and that, but I love this one. I think this is the best found footage movie I've ever seen in my whole life, you know. But yeah, this is the way they done it. Like, it was colourful and that. You actually thought you're watching a real chat show. And some people have even said that, like, you get the full feeling of it. Well, as we watched it like late at night and that, you know, after midnight and that, so we got the real feeling that was actually a late night chat show being broadcast at that particular time, that Saturday night. Yeah. The show's called Night Owls, by the way, if you wonder what Jack's show was called. It's called Night Owls and that. But he did everything he could to make it a really good Halloween themed night and that, you know. But you know, as being a horror movie, what can you say? Things don't go quite the way you planned. Yeah, this reminded me, guys, I don't know if any James Herbert Clive Barker fans here. You might remember Terry Wogan. It was you know, the late great Terry Wogan. He used to have a chat show in the 80s, and he did one. I watch it quite often, actually, because I think it's great. He did one, I think it was Halloween night, I think it was October 1988. He did a specially themed Halloween show because he had James Herbert on, the horror writer, my favourite author. He had Clive Barker on, and he had these two mediums on who claimed they could communicate with the dead, you know. So pretty much similar to what the spirit medium did in A Late Night with the Devil. These two lady mediums were doing I think one was a blonde girl. She was Swedish. Yeah, she was Swedish. Yeah, blonde girl, and then an elderly woman. They were giving messages and that, you know. And of course, you've got this. Some of them are scoffing a bit and that, you know. But yeah, so that reminded me of that, and also very strong parallels with Michael Parkinson's Ghostwatch, which sort of like shocked and terrified audiences back in the autumn of 1992. A lot of people thought that was actually real and that. You know, if you've seen Ghostwatch, guys, you know what I mean, and that, you know, I won't go into that too much. But yeah, getting back to Late Night with the Devil, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to watch it again. It's got a high rewatchability factor. I loved all the characters, no complaints. Just those two minor gripes about the beginning. It was sort of like dragged out a bit, and the ending was a little bit, well, it wasn't really a bad ending, but it was a bit, I thought it was a little bit of it could have been stronger, let's put it that way, yeah. And that ending is left open to interpretation, so you can basically draw your own conclusions about exactly what happened there. Okay, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. On to me ratings now for Late Night with the Devil. Oh, no, no hesitation whatsoever. A whopping 10 out of 10 for this awesome found footage mockumentary horror movie, because that's how much I loved it. I could watch it again, no problem adding it to my collection, you know, of classic horror movies. If you haven't seen it, guys, you've got to check it out if you like these kind. That's only if you like these kind of movies, you know. But I know it's got, for the most part, the general consensus on the internet is most people loved it, and I believe, I think, was it Rotten Tomatoes? It's actually got a 100 rating. Yeah. So can you believe that? Very, very rare for a horror movie to get such a high rating. Yeah. Very, very well spoken of, and I am glad. I'm glad I resubscribed to Shudder to check it out. Yeah, yeah. So 10 out of 10, guys, for Late Night with the Devil. Look, a great movie. All the characters were good and that. You know, I've got, as I say, like, really enjoyed it and that, you know, and I could watch it again. Yeah, and I hope you do a commentary as well when, you know, when you do release the Blu-ray. Yeah, do a commentary and that, you know, because I love listening to the commentaries as well, plus watching all the extra features. Yeah. I can actually see this movie being a regular staple for all horror fans on a Halloween night, you know, along with all the other classics and that, you know, yeah. So yeah, definitely a solid movie and that, you know, replete with many interesting characters, particularly the very, very multi-layered Jack Delroy, yeah, one of the most memorable characters in horror movie history, yeah. So yeah, full marks, guys. But I must warn you guys, like if you're kind of like if you're nervous, if you've got a nervous disposition about watching movies that deal with the devil and Satan and seeing people possessed, you might want to avoid it and that, you know, because these are kind of movies like they're not to be taken, you know, if you have a nervous disposition in regards to demonic possession and that, you shun movies like The Exorcist and movies like that. You might be well advised to not watch it and that. But otherwise, than that, you know, if you like your horror, like, you know, really in your face, I think you will derive a lot of enjoyment from Late Night with the Devil. I absolutely loved it. I really did. And I know a lot of other YouTubers love it as well. Yeah. All right then, guys, that concludes my review of the brilliant Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil? What did you think of it? Do you share my very, very high opinion of it? You know, and do you even think it's the best horror movie released yet in 2024? Leave your comments down below. Yeah. Oh, by the way, while we're on the subject of comments and discussing this movie, I am going to be holding a Thursday night live stream at 8 o'clock this week. And it's going to be on the theme of a devil and satanic movies, but obviously being so impressed with this one, Late Night with the Devil, I've made that the main movie, you know, for discussion, the main topic of discussion. So if you'd like to join me, if you love this movie, if you love movies relating to the devil, demonic possession, join me this Thursday, guys, at 8 p.m, you know, same time, same place and that, and we'll have a nice discussion, a great-hearted discussion about, you know, Late Night with the Devil and other similar devil movies. So I'm looking forward to that. So 8 o'clock this Thursday night, yeah, I look forward to seeing you all then. All right then, guys, that's it. Take care of yourselves. I really enjoyed doing this review. Really, really impressed in that, you know, it's great to come on here and you know, really talk like praise about a horror movie, because there's so many turkeys been released in that, as you know, when you watch some of me rants and that, you know, how bad some of these horror movies can be. No complaints about this, guys. This was an absolute masterpiece, and as I say, I can see this becoming a cult classic among horror fans. Yeah. Okay then, guys. As usual, if you like the video, please feel free to share, subscribe, comment, and all going well. I shall see you all on Thursday night at 8 o'clock when I will be hosting a special devil movies live stream, and the main topic will be you know, Late Night with the Devil. Okay, that's it, guys. Take care. Bye for now.